AskReddit by opposite rock 4217. What occupation do you think only attracts shitty people? Paparazzi photographers. Tabloid journalists. Recently went to a Mexican restaurant in LA. Charlize Theron was sitting behind us with her kids. Novel, right? Well, in front of us at the bar were two blatant paparazzi chumming it up, having drinks, laughing, and constantly pointing their phones at her table taking photos. Charlize and her kids ended up swapping seats with their friends so the backs of their heads were facing the bar. It was gross. Televangelists. Ditto faith healers, the kind of charlatans who have to pack it in and move on to the next town before grandma realizes she still has cancer. I remember reading somewhere that on average 1 in 100 of the general population are psychopaths. But in the professional world, the higher up you go, the higher the incidence of psychopathy. By the time you get to the boardroom, apparently the prevalence of psychopathy climbs to like 1 in 10. I am a chief operations officer and can confirm. Everything, including people, are just numbers. It's all numbers, dollar sign, dollar sign, dollar sign. Controversial, but in the UK, it seems to be GP secretaries. They should be the first in line if we go to war because no one can get past them and get an appointment with their doctor. Horrible attitude too. They recently shamed me for having a stroke. Pimping. Bitch better have my money. Payday loan lenders. I'm just dumbfounded how those are still a thing. I know people are desperate for money at times, but I've always been glad I never resorted to going to one. My wife's former job had a program to help get people out of payday loans. In my personal experience, car salespeople, even in their personal time. I had a neighbor who sold cars and he could not turn it off when he wasn't at work. Was always bragging about how he upsold someone or made some poor couple feel bad because they couldn't afford the top model. I think the salespeople that can't turn it off are legitimate psychopaths. I'm not even kidding a little. It's unnerving. Timeshare sales. MLM. Many of these are just naive. Almost all of the popular bitchy girls I went to school with became either real estate agents or nurses. The mean girl to nurse pipeline is wild. Payday lenders. I had 3 friends switch from the financial sector to tech because they said they couldn't stand the people they worked and interacted with. I know some people in finance and there seems to be such a weird culture there. It's very casually making fun of other people, looking down on others and seeing everything as a financial decision. Knowledge and learning aren't really discussed either. There isn't a lot of critical thinking. Some of the older people are more level-headed, and obviously I'm making sweeping generalizations that have exceptions, but it is just weird to see, especially since I knew them before they were in finance. Collections is a big one. You could have a heart when you enter, but you won't last long. I'm an attorney who does some collections work for different companies. I won't dispute sometimes I have to be the bad guy, but there's a mediator aspect of my job. A lot of my job is just working out settlement agreements that work for everyone. It's my entire job to follow the law, which includes following consumer protection laws. I don't threaten people, call them at night, call their relatives, or otherwise harass them. Tow truck driver. The ones who drive around apartment complexes looking for people to tow, whether it's legal or not. They know a lot of these people don't have money and they take their cars, which they know they need, and then demand money they know these people can't afford. When I was younger and poor, I was towed 3 times, and each time I was parked legally, and one they said my car wasn't registered because they couldn't see my registration because of the snow. They still wanted me to pay $350 each time. The last time, I waited for them to open their gate, ran to my car and drove off without paying. I got way more satisfaction than I should have for that. Fuck these people. What the fuck is some random tow truck driver doing checking registrations? Sounds like impersonating an officer. Car sales. I did this for about a year to make ends meet while I tried to get into my field. I felt dirty every single day. Most of the salespeople you come across are really just people who need a job, and it's an easy one to get and make enough money to get by. The career car salespeople are real fucking scumbags, though. I spent a year with some of these guys, and the way they talk about people and how they get off on fucking people over, and how they treat people including their own families, and how immature they are is fucking insane. We're talking 40-year-old guys dipping their balls in people's coffee cups as a prank. And what's crazy is being around it for 14 hours a day starts to make you normalize it. It wasn't until I left and got into a professional environment and started getting back to normal human relationships that it started clicking with me how insane and gross all those people were. The meanest girls I know are all nurses. I had a friend who I thought was nice, and then I found out she was telling absolutely everyone the most painful shit I've ever been through like it was fun gossip. She just started training to be a nurse. She'll fit in perfectly. I know it is a noble calling, but teaching, like nursing, attracts two types of people. Those that wish to make a difference in young lives, and those that love to bully those they have some power over. I taught for a few years and could not believe the bullies and control freaks that shared the staff room with the teachers, who really were the most wonderful caring teachers. I know a teacher who seemed like the biggest bully ever when I was a student. But then I started working at the school and realized that dude cared more about students when it mattered than anyone else on that campus. It was a weird perspective shift when I got to see behind the curtain. Being an influencer. Narcissistic hell. I've worked in a few different sales jobs that were shit, but feel like car sales especially attracts scummy PPL. Glad to be out of that business. Politics. Politics attract people who love money and power, which makes people who want to get into politics the least suitable people to actually be politicians. School secretaries. Had one refuse to give me medicine she stored for me once when I needed it. Fuck you, Yvonne. Record drivers. I've never seen one who wasn't scum. The handful I have met were all awesome. I'm in the deep south though. Not sure if it's different than what you are used to seeing. Sales. Especially telemarketing sales. The worst person I ever dated managed a call center. Deleted. Club promoter.